On Memorial Day, Israel remembers its fallen soldiers and terror victims. Now we bring you the remarkable story of a British officer who back in 1921 saved the lives of Jews and Arabs in the port city of Jaffa. That's where we are broadcasting from right now. Armed only with a revolver, Major Lionel June fired a warning shot in the middle of a riot in Jaffa, sending attackers scattering. He went on to save more than 100 people that day, at a time when a series of violent clashes had been breaking out between Jews and Arabs in the ancient port city in what was then the Mandate for Palestine. Now, more than 100 years after the Jaffa riots, an historian whose uncle was killed that day has finally tracked down the British major's descendants and told them about the heroic actions of their grandfather. So it's a great pleasure to welcome to studio the historian and architect uncovering all these details, Samuel Giller. Thank you so much for being here in studio on this day. So it's 100 years since the Jaffa riots. You have uncovered this incredible story. Take us back. What did you find out?
101. Yeah. Actually, I started to research the story back in 2009 when I was looking into events where when my uncle was killed. Actually, I had two uncles. One was killed, the other one was saved by Major June. And that's why I'm here. If he wouldn't have been saved, I wouldn't be here.
Incredible.
So, and then later on, I found out that I found a lot of testimonies, and everybody was talking about Major June, who arrived and one shot from his pistol, and he managed to chase the looters away. And since 2014, actually, I started to look after his life story. Apparently, what happened is that he was forced to leave the military because the Arabs blamed him to assist Jews, and he remained in Tel Aviv. And actually, he resided on Alamy Street, 91, until 1935, and then he moved to Beirut, and he had all sorts of businesses. And when I realized that his origin is in the Isle of Jersey, that's where the first article was published back in 2014, looking for his descendants.
And that's where I need to interrupt you and say that you have tracked down his family and they didn't even know the story. Talk to us about their response when you eventually got hold of them.
They actually, eventually, the search was worldwide, by the way. Went all the way to Australia and then ended up in Britain, in Surrey and Birmingham, 3 hours apart. Two of his granddaughters didn't know about each other because each one was from a different mother. He lost his first wife in a fire back in Jersey, and they didn't know anything. Of course, they didn't know each other. They thought that they're actually alone in the world. They didn't know that they have any family. And they had very little information about it, just few pictures. And I had to fill in the story. They were amazed. And the Sunday Times, by the way, published an article about it, when they met the first time.
Incredible to think that you managed to uncover all these details. Talk to us, though, about how this story is being received here in Israel. You were at a ceremony this morning. What are people saying? What kind of legacy is being told about this major and what he did and the lives that he saved?
The ceremony, I'm attending this ceremony for many, many years. It's in all Tel Aviv. I used to come with my father. But this year, the ceremony was different because a lot of youngsters came. I think dozens of young people came. The three of them came to me afterwards and they say, yeah, we didn't know that anything happened here before 48. And they were kind of astonished about events that happened 100 years ago.
That really is fascinating. I want to actually take a quick listen to what was said at that ceremony this morning. Let's take a look.
All the victims of terrorism and of war, his actions down at Jaffa port over 100 years ago probably prevented more victims and more casualties on that day due to his actions.
We can see you on that screen as well. How did it make you feel hearing these words about the story that you have uncovered and reunited these families as well?
It was amazing. You know, actually, it started a year ago, just right down here. You know, Herzog, at that time, he was the head of the Jewish agency, came in, the mayor and the British ambassador. At that time, we didn't know who we are. There was a ceremony. Now there is a plaque on the wall. And then the British embassy posted on Facebook search for this family, and then RIOTS wrote an article, and eventually a very talented guy who is a genealogist, as a hobby, by the way, he did a fantastic job. You know, he searched all over the world. It was an incredible story, really.
It really is incredible, and thanks to you that you have managed to uncover all these details. I want to fast forward 100 years, or to be precise, 101 years to the city of Jaffa. It's such a popular place. It was known as a place of coexistence, but the last year has been difficult here. There have been clashes, there have been tensions. What is your take on the future of a city like this? You know about the past. I want you to look forward. What are your senses?
I know about the past, and I know also about the present, because as an architect, I started to work in Jaffa over 40 years ago. From time to time, there is eruptions, and they will occur, but life is coming back afterwards. And I think in the long term, it's a city of coexistence. You know, from time to time, there were riots in 21 and 29 and 36 last year or 2 years ago. But in Jaffa, I'm optimistic. I don't know about other places, but here I'm optimistic.
Very briefly, we don't have much time left, but telling stories to future generations is really what a lot of this country is about. You made mention of the fact that young people didn't know about life before 1948. How important is it that stories like yours are being told for future generations? Briefly, please.
It's extremely important. That's why I'm spending a lot of time to just to tell people, you know, there is a very famous, I don't know, a phrase that people that doesn't know the past, you know, the future is GEEM, and that's the reason I'm working in this field as an historian now.
Samuel Giller, a pleasure to hear your insights. Thank you so much for being here in studio on this day and sharing what you have learned. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.